Welcome to Sports Chronicles. I'm Crystal Stone, along with Keon Cage and Adrian Carbajal. Thank you so much for joining us. More steam has been rising from the Footprint Center, and not just from the Phoenix Suns, but also from the Phoenix Mercury. The Mercury announced on Sunday that they have parted ways with their head coach of 2 years, Vanessa Nygaard, elevating the assistant coach, Nikki Blue, to take over the team for the rest of the season. This is coming after a dismal 2-10 start for the team, and a team that's been riddled with injuries. Now, Keon, do you believe that with all the struggles early on, that this is a good move for the team to move on from Coach Nygaard?
Well, Crystal, there's two things in basketball. When it comes to basketball, ball don't lie and numbers don't lie. I got the numbers right here. Starting with the Phoenix Mercury, they're last in rebounding. You arguably got one of the greatest rebounders in Brittany Griner. But it takes a team to get rebounds, correct? So they need to box out team effort, team energy. So how can you be last in the league? We got the best rebounder in the league. You still need to get the boards, because in order to get points, you need to get rebounds. My second stat. They're shooting 30% from three-point line, which is third from last in the WNBA. This is a make or miss league, but you got to make some shot. I think in order to win a championship, a team needs to shoot arguably about 34 to 35% from the three-point line, and they're at 30%. And last, they average 17 turnovers, which leads the WNBA in turnovers, which is horrible. You gotta have the ball to score. If you turning the ball over, that means your defense is not getting set, and when your defense is not getting set, the other teams get easy layups. So it's about being more disciplined. It's about being more smart, and it's about showing effort. So I think they weren't getting that out of coach. So it's time for a new change.
You heard that, Adrian. Keon has laid out all the numbers in the bottom of the league and so many stats. Was it time to move on and put Nikki Blue at the helm?
Yeah, I think Keon hit it right on the nose. I mean, the stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. He said it himself. When you turn the ball over, you're not giving yourself enough opportunities on the offensive end of the court to score. And they've struggled scoring the ball. They've struggled rebounding. It can't just be Brianna Turner and Brittany Griner out there. The guards have to help. The wings have to help crash the glass. I mean, that's been two of their strongest issues all season is they've stressed it. Vanessa Nygaard stressed it all year long. Turnovers. We're not rebounding. We're not playing hard enough on defense. And that's all effort things. I mean, turnovers, maybe not so much, but the defense and the rebounding is all effort. And if you're not hustling and if you don't want to win, I mean, it's tough with a lot of players coming in and out of the rotation and hardship contract after hardship contract. Players playing for one game at a time on the team. So it's tough to gain that continuity and get accustomed to playing with each other and knowing each other's tendencies so you can, all right, I'm going to go box out. I know this person's going to be in this spot. Like, that all matters when you're playing defense and when you're rebounding. But then again, I mean, turnovers, that's just careless basketball. If you're not taking care of the ball, you're letting teams get layups, transition threes. You're not getting back, and that's why they're getting blown out a lot of these games. And I think it's tough without the continuity, but they got to try to get healthy, and that's their main issue right now.
You know, that's something that Shook Sutton had mentioned last week. Actually, every player, after almost every game, they talk about the turnovers and how they need to get better. And if they've had a number that's lower than the last game, they sort of praise that, but it's still in the double digits. It's still an issue. Well, another great thing that came out of this week, Brittany Griner was named to her 9th All-Star game from the WNBA. She is a menace in the paint, leading the league in blocks. Adrian, do you believe that the Mercury can turn the ship around, even with all the issues that they have with health? Sophie Cunningham went out in last night's game with a concussion. Mariah Jefferson went out with an ankle. They've been in and out of the lineup. But Brittany Griner, she's been a constant when she's healthy. Can they turn the ship around under Nikki Blue?
Yeah, Brittany Griner's been the one constant, I think, for the Shook Sutton as well. I feel like those two players have done exceptionally well this season. Not that others haven't, it's just opportunity and, inconsistencies with the health. And I think that's what it comes down to. Can they turn the ship around? I think they can. I've seen enough out of them playing the middle of the pack teams. Look, they're probably not going to be able to compete with the Aces and the Sun and the Liberty in a 5-game series, 3-game series. That's going to be a little bit too much to ask of them. But if you're talking about, playing the Sparks or the Lynx or the Dream, and teams like that, middle of the pack teams, they can for sure keep up with them. I mean, we've seen it in a lot of the games, close losses because One, they bit themselves in the butt because they turned the ball over, they weren't rebounding, and they let them get easy shots. And I think if you limit that, you get more continuity out of your players. I mean, like I said, it's not their fault that they're getting hurt. That's just the way the dice roll sometimes. But, I mean, if they can get healthy and they get more playing time with each other and Brittany Griner continues to play at the level she's playing, I don't see why they can't at least make the playoffs and possibly, depending on what seed they get, maybe win one round. Yeah.
Oh, win a round. Okay, I thought you were going to say win a championship.
No.
Whoa, hold your horses. Keon, you know they say the best ability is availability, and they have struggled keeping this team healthy. But now Griner's back. Diana Taurasi is back. Do you think now with Coach Blue at the helm that they can turn the ship around?
No, I think it's over with. I feel like they're competing for arguably last place, but they have one shot. And just like Batman needed his Robin, Brittany Griner needs her Robin too. And her Robin is Skylar Diggins-Smith. She's a true point guard who can score, who can facilitate, who can pass. And the biggest thing, she can lower the turnovers. If she comes back, I give them a shot. But if she's not coming back this season, I don't see it happening because the biggest things is turnovers. They can't shoot and they're struggling to rebound. And with the players being in and out and injuries is a problem, but it's not. I don't like using that as an excuse, but you gotta play the card you dealt with. And I believe their ace is Skylar Diggins-Smith. If she can come back, maybe they can make the playoffs. Maybe they can win a round. I don't know, but it's a big maybe.
Okay, so Skylar Diggins-Smith is out on maternity leave. She recently had a baby, and her return is uncertain. But Adrian, you and I have been around the team quite a bit as we cover the team for Cronkite News, and it seems like whenever they bring up Skylar's name, it's like Candyman. You can't say it 5 times. You know, sometimes anytime you ask a question about Skylar Diggins-Smith, they're very hush-hush about it. Even Coach Nygaard wouldn't really answer questions about her and her return. Brittany Griner just mentioned that she texted with her in regards to congratulating her on her All-Star selection. But as far as her coming back to the team and what the future looks like for her for the team, it seems to be sort of up in the air and no one wants to touch it. Even Coach Blue, she was asked and she didn't want to touch it either. But Skylar Diggins-Smith has been out there. On her Instagram, she is constantly putting out videos of her being back in the gym. She's putting up shots. She's putting in that work. But we also know that there has been a strange dynamic between Skylar and the team going back to last season with Vanessa Nygaard when Skylar was actually named to the All-Star team, but Diana Taurasi was not. And Vanessa Nygaard said that it wasn't an All-Star game without Diana Taurasi and Skylar Diggins. Obviously, who wouldn't took offense to that? Diana Taurasi and Skylar Diggins also almost went to blows on the sideline during one of the games last season. So I think a big question, yes, Skylar Diggins could be their ace, and I agree with you on that. But the dynamic of the team, can it be fixed if Skylar Diggins actually comes back? Or are you adding fuel to a already burning fire?
Well, you know, the Lakers, Shaq and Kobe didn't get along, and they won 3 championships. And so it's not necessarily finding chemistry off the court or even in practice all the time. It's about finding chemistry when the cameras are on and it's time to shine. So if they can get past that, and they can do whatever.
And we all know, I mean, when all 3 of them are on the court, BG, Diana Taurasi, Skylar Diggins, that team is at its best. Now, they did have a good win last night against the Indiana Fever. However, the Fever are the worst team in the Western Conference, and that is one of the only 2 teams that they've beaten this season, the Fever and the Minnesota Lynx. So I'm not sure how much that win actually says about this team going forward, but it is good for Nikki Blue to get her first win as the head coach with this team going forward. Adrian, do you feel like this is a good thing for Nikki Blue to get her first win, although it was against the Indiana Fever?
Yeah, any time to get your first win is a good time to get your first win. Doesn't matter who you're playing. I mean, it's tough to get one win in any professional league. You know, you got to go out there. You're playing against the best players in that sport, in that league. So, yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think, like we've mentioned earlier, can they compete with the top-tier teams of the WNBA? That's still yet to be seen. It hasn't been close. They've competed with the middle of the pack, and I think that they can continue to do so. And I think they'll probably start getting more wins under Nikki Blue because, yes, a lot of those games were within single digits. They were in overtime with the Sparks a couple weeks ago, and they let that one slip away when they were up. I think it just comes with, like I said, continuity. Can they stay healthy? Can they play together? Can they get adjusted to these new schemes that Nikki Blue is trying to bring in? Brittany Griner said it herself. Nikki Blue is bringing in more simpler schemes, and she says that more often than not, the more simple, the better. And I think now that they're getting adjusted, they're getting used to this system. It's going to be their third game in this system. I think they're definitely going to show some progress, and I think that they're going to be a tougher team to beat in the coming weeks.
I think a good thing for Nikki Blue is that her first win comes against the Indiana Fever. The next game is against the Minnesota Lynx, the only other team that they've beat this season, and they're also not very good in the league too. So it may be good for her to get these first 2 wins against some lesser competition or competition that's kind of equal to their level of play. Keon, do you believe that they can even match up with the upper echelon teams in the WNBA, the Aces, the Liberty?
Well, I don't think because with the Liberty arguably the best shooting team in the league, and goes back to their shooting percentage. The Mercury is shooting 30%, Liberty is shooting 38%, and it's about shooting and making and missing shots. They gotta make shots. And with the Aces, everyone can pretty much score for themselves. Everyone can dribble the ball. What the Mercury does, they give the ball to Brittany Griner, and she passes it out after everybody double teams her. She's passing out to nobody that can't really shoot. So their offense isn't as efficient as the Aces or the Liberty.
Well, one good thing to note, we just received news this morning that the Mercury have hired the former head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils, Charlie Turner Thorne, who Nikki Blue was actually the assistant coach under her before she came to the Mercury. Now, after last night's win against the Fever, Nikki talked about how great it was to get this win, and she mentioned how disappointing it was for her to not get that head coaching position at ASU. She said that she checked off all these boxes, or that she was told she checked off all these boxes, but the one box she didn't check was she didn't have head coaching experience. So now everything's come full circle with her being the head coach of the Mercury, and she's bringing in her former head coach to be underneath her. I think this is a sign of good things to come, and we'll leave it with that, with Crystal Stone. I'm Crystal Stone, Keon Cage, and Adrian Carvajal. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Sports Chronicles.